Howdy, everybody. This is an unscheduled live because I normally am at work, but I got cut loose, so I figured I'd come and hang out with all of y'all. Guys, I don't even know where to begin this little chit chat today. So, if you've been watching all the channels, you're going to notice that everyone's all over the map all of a sudden. And I actually find that kind of concerning. So right now, we've had, hey, Loretta, how are you, hon? So we've had Polish troops have been killed on the border with Belarus. They didn't specify what happened. It could very well be an accident. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Eastern European politics, Poland does not like Russia at all, for a bunch of reasons. Belarus is basically an extension of Russia. It's like baby Russia. So those two don't like each other. And they've got a bunch of military stacked up on their borders. At the same time, Russia now has a significant strength unit. Hey, JH, how are you? I hope you guys are both doing well today. We've got Russia has a big presence now on the border of Ukraine, and Ukraine's telling them to piss off. So those guys are getting into it. I'm hearing also that the Russian Navy is messing with the Lithuanian and Estonian navies because they're just being thugs, and they can do that because they have more ships. And that's in Europe. Now, go over to China. They're still having puffery with Taiwan, and I don't know what the hell's going on there. That's just weird. Our embassy was taken over in Yemen. Fortunately, nobody was hurt or killed there, at least to my knowledge. They did beat a few people up, but they were actually after the Yemeni citizens who were working in the American embassy, not any Americans that were physically there. So that's weird. So you have all these geopolitical toilets. And then there was a bombing in England today that the British version of Homeland. Hey, Joe, how are you? I think it's MI5 or whatever they're called. The Home Office has formally declared it to be an act of terrorism. They just don't know who did it and why. So we've got emboldened Russia. We've got an emboldened China. Russia just likes to be a pain in everyone's ass. At the same time, you now have an embassy that's been taken over by the Houthis, who are Iranian proxies. Hey, Arleth, how are you? And I don't respond. It's because all the text is teeny weeny. And I'm kind of shocked that at my age I can still read it. So I guess I was blessed with pretty decent vision for a guy who's not dead, but I'm not young either. But this has been a very strange week going on. Now you add to that, domestically, we've got supply chain issues. We've got inflation, and I don't know if the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict has been rendered. Now, regardless of where you stand on it, somebody's going to get pissed off. I guarantee you someone's going to get upset, even if they don't have a reason to, and they're going to riot. Or they're going to do something stupid. And I don't know. It's a lot to track. It's almost head spinning, where you're trying to figure out exactly what the hell's going to hit us next. So honestly, you guys know my style. I like to talk about what you can do. There's so many little blips on the radar, hence the title of this live stream. I'm really not sure what direction to take, folks, other than make yourself as, I guess, self-sustaining as you can with the budget you have. I just think there's more to a lot of this than is going on. Hold on, I finally got a red light so I can see. Please hit the like. Thank you, Loretta. And yeah, Joe, the trial. Look, and I get the prosecutor has a job to do, right? He must put out a strong prosecution. That's his job. That's the way the system works. The defense is going to do the same from the other side. They're going to defend the young man. Um, do I, me personally, do I think he went out there intending to murder anyone? I don't believe so. I don't know if the murder or homicide charges will stick. They may get him on a weapons charge because he had a weapon that wasn't his, underage, in public, in a state he doesn't reside in per se. They might get him on that technicality. It depends on the instructions the judge gave the jury. Um, in my mind, a rational thing would be like, okay, he didn't intend to commit murder, but he did have a gun improperly, so charge him with that and not charge him with the other. I suspect no matter what they charge that kid with, there's going to be a shit show. Hey, goodbye, Blue Sky. How are you? And it's it's disconcerting because it's almost, and I've had a few people actually message me offline and go, how do you prep for this shit? Like what do I do? It can be overwhelming, especially there are a lot of new people in the community who are just getting like their first 48-hour kit and they're all excited and they're seeing all this and they're like, the zombies are going to get me. I don't know what to do. I would encourage those of you who've been in, hey, Monique, how are you? And anyone else I missed, I got glare on the phone. Try to encourage people to keep the basics, right? The food, the water, the meds. If you can get pews or other items with which to protect your home, do so. Uh, there's just a lot of moving parts and it's really hard to keep track of. Usually we'll see a trend in the prepper community where a story will come out and everyone talks about it. And this last week and a half, I got to tell you, we've been all over the map. Some are talking inflation. Some are worried about the trials. Some are wondering what Russia's doing. Um, One person was even talking about the damn volcano, La Palma or La Paloma volcano, that's starting to do weird stuff again, and they're afraid of a tsunami on the East Coast. Um, the basics are going to be the same, gang. No matter which direction things go. Uh, the food, the water, and being able to leave quickly. So, if you haven't done so already, organize your important papers and your IDs, like passports, not what you keep in your wallet. Um, Stuff like that, get them organized, put them in a loose leaf binder, an envelope, a folder, whatever it is that works for you. And be ready if you have to hunker down or if you're on the road and have to hunker down in place somewhere. Uh, be ready for that. A lot of us are going to be on the road during the holidays. And hey, Donna, how are you? Uh, we're going to be traveling, visiting friends and family. So make sure you have something modular to bring with you. There are a lot of good videos. I have some I think we're okay. I've seen some really elaborate ones on get home bags, travel prepping. And to me, this is a big deal because I spent half my career in a truck or plane. So I'm constantly having to adapt what I'm doing on the fly half the time. So take that time. I would do an assessment for what you have or what you're doing right now. Take some time this weekend, this week, look over what you have, where are your gaps, and start writing things down. Um, are you missing vegetables? Do you need to dehydrate? Do you need MREs? Whatever it is you think you're missing. Um, Define the gaps, okay? When a company, which is in my experience, when a corporation gets their butt kicked in a tender or a project by the competition, we immediately do a postmortem and start looking at the gaps. What did we miss? What were we lacking in our portfolio that let the other guy win the contract? And That's the kind of assessment you want to do for yourself. Just take a minute. And remember, you got to stay in budget, right? Because everything costs money. So, and now everything costs more money. So take the time to do that this week. If you do nothing else, um, catch some of our videos collectively on replay and take an hour with a notepad and just write down what it is, you're missing, what it is you think you need, and see if you can source it. And yeah, and Joe's got a valid point. If you didn't have riots in the past, that doesn't mean you won't have them in the future, but staying I need some sanity, but I can't find it. Yeah, I work in the energy sector, so I'm absolutely a bad reference point for sanity. That I'll tell you. Um, take the time to assess what you have. And again, Austria, so countries are going in different directions. Austria is putting a lockdown on people who didn't have the cootie pinch, the cootie medicine. But Sweden went the complete opposite direction and said, no, just wear masks at all times and just go about your business. We have things to do. And if you're outdoors in a park, you can remove your mask. So, hey, Northern Girl. By the way, folks, Northern Girl is really close to getting her hours for hitting the next level. So if you can go and binge watch some of her stuff and get her some hours. I don't know how much she's missing. She can comment in there if she wants. Um, but yeah, assess where you are. Austria can take that. Yeah, Austria seems to cause problems every like 80 years. I don't know what their deal is. They've learned the Anschluss. Yeah. You know what's funny? I was in Vienna, well, it was a while ago now that I'm thinking of it. And I didn't get to hit the Anne Frank house, and I regret that. I might have to go back and do that. Of course, now people deny that happened, which blows my mind. But anyway, um, so hey, wait, did I miss someone? Hey, Arizona Highland, how are you? And anyone else I missed? Sorry, it's itty bitty chat on the phone. Guys, take a minute and assess yourself. Where you are. Do you have your important papers set aside, ready to go if you have to leave or if you have to make a trip last minute? Um, if you can, I'd encourage you, especially if you travel with a laptop and a tablet like I do, scan some docs and keep them handy on your computer or your pad, uh, so that in the event you need documentation while you're on the road, you can do that. And yeah, and Joe, if in a case like yours where you really don't intend to go anywhere, um, a hunker down approach is the smartest thing. Uh, but on the flip side, if you're like me, where I have family scattered throughout the state in Texas and in Louisiana, that I may need to go to them. Right now, we've got different houses or designated bug out locations depending on what the emergency is. So, if they attack city A, any or something happens in city A, family members from A, if they can get out, are going to B, unless B has a flood, in which case they come to C. So um, you can't go anywhere without the medication. You're kidding me. That just blows my mind. Oh, Arizona, it will be Northern Girl Hobbies. I think she's got, what is it, Northern 2,000 followers, but it's the hours. She's lacking the hours. So if you can help her, that'd be great. Right. See, and Arlith, and then in Texas, it's like, uh, just go about your business. And I mean, people are outdoors all the time in this state anyway. I mean, if you get the cootie from someone, like, get your face out of their face, for crying out loud. Um, The one case I do know of was a young colleague who went to a bar, and I don't know what mischief he was getting into, and then gave it to all his roommates, which I thought was funny because the roommates were pissed with him. Rightly so. They were all fortunately young guys, so they did fine. Hey, Jason, welcome. Uh, but folks, yeah, if you're going to be traveling and you think you might be on the road or whatever during this holiday season, and I know some of you can't go, some of you can. Make sure you have the docs you need in a hard copy format as well as electronically, because you never know if something comes up, you may have to go somewhere or you may have to conjure those documents on the fly. But I would take some time to assess what preps you have and what you think you need, but write a list. And I would write it on priority followed by affordability. And if you have an Excel sheet, that'll do wonders for you. Because then you can kind of sort it by both. Again, you got to stay on budget. We're all constrained by our budgets, but I highly recommend take some time this week and look at where you are for the end of year. Okay, because there's again a lot of moving parts. The Russian Ukraine thing, the Poland and Belarus getting into it, the embassy in Yemen, the terror attack that happened earlier today in England, and they did call it a terror attack formally. So, and that's not including inflation and supply chain and all this other nonsense. There's a lot of gibberish going on. And like we mentioned, some countries are going more hardcore thumbs on the people. Other countries and states are going the other direction and saying, you know what, be free. And, you know, just do your thing. So every one of you is going to have a different situation. So your list, a list made in Los Angeles County, California, is going to be completely different from one in, Ector County, Texas, versus Austria versus Sweden, right? They're all over the map. In China, they put a bunch of tourists in basically a detainment camp because of one person got the Rona who wasn't even with the group. No, in Munich, a lot of us are in the same boat. Bugging in makes the most sense unless you're forced out. And it doesn't have to be a riot. It could be, a fire, God forbid, or, uh, a kaiju. I don't know. I've never seen a kaiju, but a kaiju, something forces you to flee. But if you're going to hunker down, check your property, check your fences, make sure your locks work, and then make sure you have the food, water, etc. you need to hide in place for a little bit if you have to. If you're mobile, like I am or usually am, obviously my preps are near the house, but I need to also be able to maneuver on the road and adapt on the fly if I need to. So I need to identify on my trips places I can get shelter, friends I have on the route. If I have to bail out of my trip and make a detour and head back home, where can I go? My company is really cool because we have facilities all over the US. So I've actually gotten caught in really bad weather and I redirected and went to a company facility and I hunkered down there. So, yeah, and Monique has a local group and they're solid. That's a good thing. Fitness, Donna touched on. I talk about that every Monday. Try to get your fitness, your wellness up. Obviously, everyone has different limitations and different time constraints, but take this week to just take some time to assess where you are and what you're going to need going into 2022. There's so many moving parts. It may all fizzle out. We may come back and talk about these very same things in January and go, well, that was a big nothing sandwich. We hope we're from LA. I assume you mean Los Angeles and not Louisiana. But yeah, if they're coming from there, actually, I'm finding a lot of people leaving California. There are a lot of socialisty voters, but there are also a lot of more old school voters too. Like I'm leaving California because they're stupid voters, which I'm cool with. Um, but guys, take that time, assess what you need, and just take a couple hours this week. Grab a notepad or Excel sheet, however you work best, and write down those things you need, and then start accumulating them. If you need training, there's lots of training. You can go to FEMA.gov. They have a lot of website videos on how different things play out. Ready.gov. You could go to the Red Cross. You can go to a lot of places and get that video training, at least so you're familiar. If you do have to go to a shelter, God forbid, you do have to go to a food distribution center, which we should in theory, not for a while anyway, you'll at least know how it works and what to expect. Um, yeah, get your business in order, because the holidays tend to create chaos, and then we forget what we're doing, and then if something happens and pops off and we're like shit, and there's a scramble. So you don't want to be the oh shit there's a scramble guy at the party. But in any case, gang, I'm gonna have to hit. I got one more meeting. They canceled one on me, which is why I jumped online real quick. um, and then I'm calling it for the day, but I'm not doing any of that. Yeah, and Joe's absolutely right. They're flooding us here in Texas, though. I don't like it either, JH. Um, it's I don't know. It depends what part of Texas. And guys, remember, before I go, help Northern Girl out. I'd love to see her get those hours in to level up. Oh, the FEMA thing. Oh yeah. It's a resource, but again, with your you make your own judgment if you want to deal with that particular agency or not. But again, um, if you or someone you know may have to go to a shelter, may have to go to a food distribution center, you want to make sure that they understand what they're getting into. Because the last thing you want to do is attract the National Guard because you did something wrong at a shelter. And keep in mind, the shelters that are privately run, they can reject you if they feel you're going to be disruptive to others. So I don't trust FEMA. You know what's funny? I went out with FEMA during Harvey, and it's a very discombobulated organization made up of a lot of well-meaning people. Like once the Red Cross was epic. I mean, I've never seen an agency work that flawlessly. FEMA could learn from the Red Cross. FEMA had the material, they had the assets and the funding, but oh no, shelter, Joe. I'll be honest with you, having assisted in the shelter and gone through the Red Cross training for shelter management, um, you can do it, uh, but I would leave it as your last option. That would be the my house is full of water, i.e., I have the Egyptian scorpion showed up at my house, and I have to flee my home. Other than that, I would try to avoid going to a shelter if you can. You'd be better off going to your church. And that touches on one last thing. A lot of counties and cities have a CERT, CERT, which is basically civil defense, the modern version. Um, get to know those folks, because I'd rather be involved in the response and have a say in what's going on than be part of the sheep. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm saying that right. At least know who the decision makers are. And no, Monique, you will not have scorpions. The Egyptians got scorpions, and apparently they got poisonous snakes too. So, no, and Joe, and you have a unique situation, which we won't mention on live, but yeah, in your case, you'd be better off hunkering down and trying to get people to help you out if you can. But in any case, gang, I'm going to cut you guys loose. You guys, please be safe out there. Take the time to assess where you are now, where you need to be, get your paperwork in order, get your docs in order, reorganize the pantry if you can while you're putting up Christmas decorations, whatever it is you're doing. Take that time now, because there's a lot of instability, and if something goes sideways, you're never quite gonna, you want to be as ready as you can. You can't be perfectly ready, but as ready as you can. Guys, be safe. Y'all take care of yourselves, and I will see you later. And don't forget, help Northern out. Jen's awesome, so go find her link. And NGH, if we didn't put the link in the comments, can you put it in the comments after I end the lives, like below the video, and have everyone jump on there and get her some hours. You guys take care. Be safe.